Palita, we're live.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
I originally, first of all, I was blown away by the chili jam.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Step aside chili crisp and oil.
There's room for all of us.
Make some room for the jam. Next time there's a charcuterie moment, it's going to be added to the board. 100%.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
It's not overtly fishy or shrimpy.
Yeah.
Unless you're really sensitive to that, but it was a well-balanced spice and sweetness to it, and the savoriness of I got like shallot, like burnt shallots. And, so it was very umami, but very well balanced, and it's a great add-on to anything you're eating.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I think especially for people like new to making Thai food, they're like, oh, fish sauce, and it like can be so daunting, and it's like two shakes too much, and it might like completely alter the dish. And so even though that this is like a ready to eat condiment that can go on a cheese board,
this is a good introduction.
It's a great introduction. Like, oh, well, now I already have it. I can just make a stir fry. And so like, that's kind of like, I always wanted to share Thai cooking with people. And so having this just be that opener, like, oh, I already have it. Someone gifted this to me, or I saw it in the bottle, was cute. And that's amazing. That makes me so happy to hear that.
And it wasn't until I started doing more digging where I didn't realize the number of peaks and valleys that you've been through. And the number of wins and lessons that you've gone through. How multifaceted and multi-hyphenate you are. Whether that's in research and parasitology, marketing, aviation.
Oh my gosh, you went deep.
Oh my goodness. I thought it was just going to be a CPG episode, and here we are with restaurants and oh my goodness. So, and the whole Foxtrot debacle, but shout out to Here Mark. I don't know.
Oh my God, Here Mark is, hi Disha. You're amazing.
So stepping into Agora, you were my inspiration for stepping into Agora.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
That opened a can of worms into all the other local brands. I recently picked up Tripping Billy. I reached out. Tripping Billy's collab with Caruso Jardinero. Their salsa is pretty good.
Yeah.
I saw some Remember Kombucha at Agora.
I mean, they nail it on the selection.
And then I heard that you got into Fresh Time, so you are winning.
Something like that. As you can tell from my track history, winning for now.
How would you describe the current era that you're in?
Oh gosh,
is one word enough? It's like, how do we put words to it?
This is for me like kind of this mid-stage growth. Like the first 2 years has been just so fun in a different way, and having it be new, and everybody wants something new. So it's kind of like that sophomore
it's exciting still. The honeymoon phase in a way.
I actually would say like I'm coming out of the honeymoon phase.
Okay. Which it's starting to feel like work.
It always felt like work. No, but I enjoy my work. Like I never stop working. Like that's the crazy thing. But it's almost kind of like, I don't want to call it a sophomore slump, because again, with all of the things, whether my wins or losses, I just frame it as something. I don't want to be like, oh my God, be positive. But you want to frame it in a way that's like, well, this is the next step. So I'm kind of just in this area of, well, yes, I got into Fresh Time, which could potentially mean I get into 70 of their stores. So everyone listening, please go out and buy it. I need to prove product velocity. We're going to demo the heck out of the Elston location so that they take us in all the other locations. But then it brings me to this next level of, I have been self-producing with a team. Those caramelized shallots that you taste, they're real shallots. It's real palm sugar. It's made exactly how I would make it for myself in a jar. To now, I'm going to go beyond the threshold of what I can tolerate producing and starting to jump into a co-manufacturer.
Oh, I see.
Very exciting times. It's an exciting time, but
but you're juggling all the budgets and things like that too.
So it's like, do I take on investors? Do I keep bootstrapping? I'm going from making 240 units a week, let's say, to once I hop into a co-manufacturer, it's like, I got to pay the food scientists. I got to make 6,000 units per run.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the whole game is like totally different. So it's just a huge growth period.
Yeah.
So it's
very
like
exciting.
It's
I
exciting.
love catching individuals like you on this journey. Oh,
so it's
my
like
goodness.
very exciting because it's just like there's so much potential, but it's also kind of a quiet time. I don't know how to describe it. Like I spent the last 2 months, I'm in 2 accelerator programs just to make sure that people have done this before and I don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Is that for motivation or accountability and resources? Resources. Okay.
You know, like I'm not the first person to enter a co-manufacturer by any means. So it's like,
oh, good.
Let's learn from what people have done. And so I'm with the Good Food Catalyst, which is a program that's assisted by the city, I hope. It started by a guy who worked, I think, in the chicken industry and just was kind of like jaded by it and really just wanted to make sure that we're creating great foods from small entrepreneurs. And he started this nonprofit program.
Oh, wow.
And they're actually how I got in front of Fresh Time. So I did a short program with them and our little exit was a pitch for Fresh Time. And so I got selected.
Otherwise, what an opportunity. That's really cool.
I know. And then so I immediately did their accelerator program. And I'm about to graduate from it on Wednesday. They're like, I was like, oh, we're having like a real graduation. She's like, yeah, you've been here for 14 weeks. I'm like, has it been 14 weeks? But every week they bring in experts in their field, whether I knew them or not. Like, it's just always nice to have a new set of eyes and ears and access to mentors, because again, I don't have to do this alone.
What's the ask from you? Is there a financial buy-in? Is there just input and taking initiative and showing up?
Yeah,
and
it's then, or free to me.
Do they make like ask if you can come back, or like how does that work?
I'm hoping they invite me to come back. Maybe I'll get to a point with my business that I can help.
You will, yeah.
But it's free. Like,
That's
there's
amazing.
so many programs for like these small businesses. Like, why do it alone when you just have fellow business owners just in the same stage? So like I had to apply and they chose a set of people in the same kind of like this mid-growth state. Like, we're all established business owners.
In different industry, or like different niches, or?
Not all of us are CPG.
Okay.
To do catering.
Because it can feel competitive at times. And how do you foster friendly competition, you know?
I can be the most competitive person with myself and the least competitive at the same time. I'm a Gemini, so maybe it's both. I never felt competitive with this group. And a lot of times when I think about CPG, the more that there's people in my like niche, if anything, makes people more aware of the product. Like, I chose to do, I knew I always wanted to do this chili jam for a long time, but brands that did chili crisps, chili oils opened that door for me. You know, so like they are in theory competitors, but all the ones I met, like I even met the founder of Amsam and she voted for my product to win the Foxtrot Award. Like to me, it's like these people before me have paved the way. So like, how could I not do that for the people after me? And it's just, and vice versa. It's like the people that I hopefully helped open a door for, they probably didn't need me or not, but you know, it goes both ways. They show up to my pop-ups, I show up to theirs. I
think I'm at the stage where I want to do the best I can for myself. And if that ends up being inspirational, so be it. Yeah. I think oftentimes some people have this priority of wanting to be inspirational, but they kind of miss the mark. Because they're not, and something I admire about your work is you've always been authentic and stayed true to yourself no matter what you end up doing. Yeah. And when you do that, you ultimately, if you go down deep enough in any rabbit hole, you're going to learn something about yourself, about how hard something is to do and to accomplish and to be successful at anything. And that inevitably becomes inspirational. Yes. And I only say that because some people just come on because they want a platform to share inspirational quotes. And I'm just kind of like, yes, like, that sure.
Like how much Gary Vee can we quote? And
100%.
I was like, like, yeah, it's useful, but like,
and I'm also not trying to get super practical, tangible tips.
Got
However, I am trying to be observant of some of the steps that you've done for yourself.
Yes.
Right. So I'm not, this isn't like a how-to podcast. This is
how-to.
more so like, why did you do the things you're doing?
Why did I do the things? So there's a selfish side of it.
Of course.
I dreamt about what is it that I wanted to do for work at this point in my life. And without anyone pushing me, like just truly me. I spent my 20s, my parents told me to be a doctor. You know that story. But I was like, what would my day look like that would just keep me so fulfilled? Mm-hmm. And to me, I do everything from photo styling work because I just genuinely enjoy it.
You have a nice aesthetic feed.
Thank you. Yeah. So, when I first started, I was a food blog, and it was because I just liked arranging stuff like this, and then, made the sauce drizzle, and it was just entertaining.
But it was very home cooked meals. It wasn't like, you didn't plan to do that for restaurants or anything like that?
No, I did not. And then just slowly it grew, and then I actually used my blog that not many people read. My friends read it, but like it wasn't like, you see these influencers now and they have like 100,000 followers. Like this is pre that. Mm-hmm. It was like a couple dozen hits per month for the same recipe over and over. And it just kind of grew. So I used that as a portfolio to get my first spot in the food hall. But it just, everything grew from that. And so now it's like, I'm at this point in my career where I feel like I'm starting to come full circle. Like I like styling. I love building a business.
It's all coming together.
I never post this online, but I tried to do an MBA.
Okay. And it is online.
It is?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
I tried to do an MBA.
I believe it's in your Voyage article.
Oh my gosh. You dug deep. That's like probably my first article. So I tried to do an MBA and I just did not know how to use Excel.
What? How far did you get?
So it was a graduate student at large program for Booth, and I got 2 quarters in.
What does that mean? Does that mean it's online?
So I went in person, and then it came time to like take my application and like submit it to Booth, and then I just never did.
Oh, so it was like pre-coursework to the coursework?
It was pre-coursework, and then I could use all the credit. Like I took all the classes with them. Like, yeah, so it was like a great bridge into it. So like I took the GMAT, I took all of it, like, and I did it. I don't know why.
What was school like before then?
School like before then? I went to U of I in Urbana.
Pre-med?
Yeah. So like I took the MCAT, tanked it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I just try a new test because I'm like, maybe.
You didn't try the MCAT a second time?
Oh, I tried it like 4 times. Oh, trust me, I tried it a second time. Like studying just became futile.
And out of all the things you had under your belt, whether it was research or volunteering, maybe patient care hours and GPA or MCAT scores, did you feel like, other than the MCAT, you were a pretty strong candidate?
No. It was just so bad. Like
okay.
Like, and I think, but that area of my life, it was a really hard time. Like I felt really insecure. I felt like I wasn't good at many things. It's a very traditional path. Like, I went through high school. I played piano, check the box. I played a sport, check the box. Be involved
now,
in...
that being said, I'm curious if there's anything that you were asked or forced to do that you ended up liking.
Oh.
That you're thankful that you learned.
My parents put me in a lot of sports and music. It's so funny as like Asian parents, and like they ask you to play like all these instruments, but they don't want you to be a musician. which I think about
what is
that
it for?
all the time.
Just to be busy?
I think playing piano, I still do this. I still think of my life in terms of music. Like I even like running a kitchen, there's a cadence to a service. And so all I ever knew was like piano and cello because my parents had me play piano when I was 4.
Wow.
And also still not very good at it. I'm like a jack of like all trades, but like a solid B-, like a very solid B-.
All right.
But looking back at it, I never let it go. That's the thing. Like I wasn't like good at it, but I still love it.
But
like,
if you saw one in like a mall and you're like, yeah, you can hop on.
Yeah. Like, did you know that there's one at the Marianos in South Loop? Look around, look behind the hot bar. I don't know why it's there, but I was eating some chicken fingers the other day and I was like, why is there a piano here?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, I'm not going to go play in some concert. Like, it's just fun. Like, I like, I don't know. There's something about
it's given you a different lens to see the world through.
Yeah, it's like that. And then cello, I play cello, so it's like it's just so different touching strings versus touching keys. Keys are set, you know. This is but then cello, you have to slide your fingers around or move your fingers around to make it flat or sharp. So it's like totally different thought. And then I played tennis, which that I loved. But that makes me still active. I still work out 4 times a week. Like, I love it, but it gives me mental clarity. And it also, that holds me accountable. Like, you can't lie to your body. So
it'll say things back.
Oh, it will. Like, my back will go out. Like, I'll be running service and it's just like, oh, my back hurts. It's because I've been inconsistent about lifting and it's like I'm not engaging my core muscles. So, like, even though my parents pushed me to do it, it made me who I am.
Yeah.
Even though it's things I don't want to pursue, it taught me a big spread of like who I could be and just like kind of, I don't know.
So over time, you've developed an appreciation for it.
Oh yeah. Like in high school, I was kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. You know, sign up for the symphony. This looks good on a application. But then in college, I was like, no, wait, I miss it. I do really like it. And then when I moved to the city, my cello came with me. So imagine living in a studio, but your cello is just like
chilling,
just hanging out there. I was like, oh, I better play this. This is like committing so much footprint.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So yeah. So people used to hire me for like their weddings and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So
like individually, or you were part of a group?
In a string quartet.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really like,
we just hired Cloudgate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So
for that graduation.
Yeah. So it's just like
amazing.
Little, I don't do it anymore, but like, you know, Canon and D is like, you know, you learn that in 5th grade. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll play it. Like, how many times do you want me to play it?
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. So I really enjoy that aspect that my parents made me do it.
That's so. As an Asian American, like as a child of Asian American immigrants, there's definitely this desire to want to be validated by them because we acknowledge to some degree that they've sacrificed their wants and desires for us.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I can't imagine, like I can't remember how many times I've had that conversation with let's say an Uber or Lyft driver about what they did in their home country and what they have to do now to make ends meet. And I appreciate that. And I think we have this inherent urge or desire to want to be seen by our parents.
Oh yeah.
Despite it not being what we might want to our core, but if it'll make them happy,
it should make us happy.
And that was
it
should, right?
It should.
But it doesn't. And you come around full circle to realizing that I think at the end of the day they want you to be happy and they want you to be safe and successful and going down this entrepreneurial path or the path that they're aware of. And so people that grew up in the restaurant industry, they're like, don't go in the restaurant industry.
Oh yeah.
Right? So going to med school is typically the safe bet. But these days you can make money off TikTok and YouTube and whatever your mind can think of. And
it's so foreign to that it's foreign to our own generation.
Yeah,
like
right.
You meet influencers that are like our age and you're like, how?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's such.
But it's also fleeting in a way too.
Yeah, and
right?
It's super like uncharted territory.
Yeah. So they go with what they know. And when you realize that, you can only appreciate that. And I think what I'm currently at is frustrated with the lack of curiosity for the work I do.
From your parents?
Or
from your community?
From my parents. Like, I could appreciate a lack of understanding and not having the questions to ask, but it's not even a desire. Like, tell me more. Like, it's not even that. And so when I hear how supportive, and not that they're unsupportive, it's just like they just don't ask. And I think they know that I'm safe and I'm successful and I'm fine like that.
Yeah.
But like, it'd be cool to have a conversation about some of the people that I get to meet and all these, they don't know, they don't follow this.
That one, for me, that one's also a work in progress because not to like I don't know.
Yeah.
My parents, they themselves are doctors.
Mm.
And so like that pressure of me also, because like they actually did it, you know, like sometimes not to like poo poo other people's parents that aren't doctors. Like my parents straight up did not know anything else. Like had they not had their MD and moved here, we would not have lived the life that we did, for better or for worse. Like my parents are the first like minority practicing specialists in the Midwest.
Very
like,
cool.
It's cool now, but at the time it was really tough.
Yeah.
Other doctors withheld referrals.
Sure.
It made for a really tough, you know, first few years of my dad's practice. And
I wonder if they considered doing something else because of how hard it was.
I asked them that and they say no.
Okay.
Because they love what they do so much. And to me, for me to explain to them that this is not what I love to do was extremely hard. Like they themselves have done it.
Oh, very interesting.
They are so passionate about it. That they love it. That they just don't see anything else.
But they don't understand your lack of love for that and like your love for something else.
Yeah. And so they were just so confused by it. They're like, what do you mean you don't like to study? And I was like,
well, it depends on what you're studying, right?
Yeah. Well, I was like, I was like, they had me do math books every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
You know that drill.
Tables,
like, I don't think there was Kumon in my town yet, but like, you know, that book came out like every Saturday. It's like, you're going to sit here in front of it for 3 hours before you can start your day and do math. And like, that was so ingrained in me, like, oh, do a little bit of work on Saturday, do a little bit of work on Monday. So it taught me that, but not feeling the same. And it's also actually, I do feel passionate about healthcare. Yeah. But just maybe medicine in that aspect wasn't for me, because I loved working with parasites, you know.
Yeah. You did that for 7 years.
Yeah.
That is
so
wild.
like the reason why I loved that is because you could create this what I felt like was a not complex medication. And the people that get infectious diseases like, you know, schistosomiasis are the people that are breadwinners of the family, the people that are going out into the community and being like, I need to work, I need to do this. And then they're the breadwinner of their family. So if they get sick, who's going to take care of them? And so that's why I stuck with it for a very long time. I was
going to ask, like, how long after, you know, you moving on from the prospect of med school did you continue with research?
I mean, it was the 7 years. So like, I didn't get into med school. So,
so you weren't doing research. I thought so. Some people do, you know, research to build that, you know, resume to be published and then to, you know.
Yeah. So I did 3 years as an undergrad. So I worked for a professor, and then I continued on for another 3 years in Chicago, and then a little bit in Thailand. So I worked at an infectious disease hospital in Bangkok. Okay. Where I spent more time with the lunch ladies than at my desk, and that's that's sort of how this happened. But yeah, back to the parents thing. Yeah, it's still a work in progress. Okay. You know, I just hit, for me, just a really tough point when I was 27. I was deeply unhappy, and I think I just kind of was doing all these things for my parents, and it still just like wasn't panning out. Yeah. And so I finally was like, you know what, I just have to give this a try and get it out of my system, because otherwise I'm gonna be like, I would blame them and be like, you're holding me back from this. And I kept blaming them, and it like really. Did
you have that conversation with them, or you felt like you had to just show them?
I felt like I just had to show them, because I was like, for them to not know, how could they know that this is, they love, at the end of the day, they're never going to cut their relationship with me. They're never going, I'm always going to
over this? Come on.
Yeah, it's like, I'm always going to be their daughter. And it really just had to hit this like really low point for me. And so finally this Eater article came out, and it was like, you could open your concept in their food hall with essentially no money startup. They took 30%, which is, we know, a lot in the food industry. But for me, I was like, it was a year-long commitment. And as long as I don't lose more than, let's say, 1 year's tuition, why not? I need this out of my system if I'm going to do it and fail.
That is wild.
So
that you go straight to being a restaurateur.
Yeah. Some people are like, that's a bold move, like you were a stage twice and then you open a restaurant. It happens so fast.
It does. Life does go fast sometimes.
Yeah. Like I applied, I didn't think I was going to get it, but like I'd only staged a few times.
And what was that even difficult to get?
I luckily knew some people that got me my first stage, and I did pretty well.
Yeah.
I think people were pretty surprised that I didn't go to culinary school, and I did pretty okay on the line.
So staging, is that mainly, what is it, plating, cutting, like what is it?
So it depends, wherever. So the first place I made pasta, I made bruschetta, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
I've been told that's right.
Okay. It was at an Italian restaurant. So it's like I just wanted to work at this Italian restaurant because they had really great seafood that came from Japan.
Oh, wow.
Twice a week. So I just really wanted to work there. So I asked a friend who hooked me up with another friend, and I literally would just come in and pick peas, pick herbs, which everyone knows is like bottom rung stuff. And then eventually they moved me to the cold line so I could assemble the bruschettas and like.
Sure. And what were you most intentionally trying to observe in those periods?
Just whether I liked it,
Yeah.
whether I could
Okay.
tolerate working at night like
Okay.
that. Because I would come in at 4 and I'd leave at 1.
Okay. You felt very much part of the team?
Kind of. I still felt a little bit off.
Is it because maybe they get stages so often?
I think so. So
Yeah.
I think they were really jaded by the stages that came in, but I was just like so eager, but then also older
Okay.
than their typical
interesting.
stage. So I was like at that time somewhere between 27 and 29.
Wow.
And so their typical stage is going to be like 20.
Yeah.
And at that time I was like, oh my God, I'm so
You know what? But like
old.
your willingness to start over, right?
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
climbed a certain mountain, and your willingness to start over.
And I think to bring it back to the competitiveness,
Yeah.
there's no one exactly in my shoes, and I've started over so many times. So who am I competing with? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to go sit there and stiff? And I was like, I'm going to compete with you. It's like, no, I'm older. My experiences are different.
Yeah.
And I'm starting over again. So I'm like, just be humble and just
Which is
your
probably the
best.
same mentality as age goes on. Like if you were to get in med school at that age too.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just like, who am I? Like, why waste my energy worrying about what other people do
Yes.
as opposed to what I'm doing? But either way, I did the stage, didn't realize I would get accepted into the food hall. And then I had 3 months to open.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was after your first stage.
So I did my stage around Thanksgiving, somewhere between like August to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The Eater article came out around Thanksgiving that year. So I think that was like Thanksgiving 2019 or 2018. I can't remember.
Yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving 2018. I found out that I got it February 2019.
So when it was going to open?
And then the restaurant
And then
opened
5 months later. Oh, okay. It
June.
opened in June. Okay.
It was supposed to open in
So
May.
build out was between that period.
Yeah, build out
Okay.
was happening the whole
Yeah.
time, but they hadn't selected the
Oh,
vendors.
okay.
So by the time I got chosen, it was February, and then they're like, you're expected to open in May, so figure it out. And it's like when anyone lights a fire under your butt and just says like, you figure it out in 3 months, you figure it out. I don't think people realize that. So when people are like, oh, how did you start your business? I'm like, if you want it, you will. I was like, do you want me to talk you out of it, or do you want me to talk you into it? And I always ask them, I was like, do you want to be talked out of it, or do you want to be talked into it? Because like if someone says, in 1 week, if you do this, I'll give you $1 million. Like you'll chat GPT, how am I going to do X, Y, and Z, and just piece it together. So I literally was like, Google file LLC, get bank account.
It's that level of self-awareness of, are you more motivated by a goal, or are you more motivated by a fear? So are you running towards something or running away from something? And maybe it could be a little of both.
It could be both.
But it's hard to talk someone into wanting something.
Exactly.
They have to want it for themselves.
They have to want it for themselves. And I have my faults all the time.
Yeah.
It took me forever to launch the sauce. I was dragging my feet, but I would tell my friends about it. It was like peak COVID. And I was like, it was just something I was like, yeah, I'm going to release a sauce or I'm going to open a restaurant. And it was like 2021. And I think I was definitely going through it because I had changed careers, opened the restaurant, closed the restaurant. I think I was sulking. I was like licking my wounds a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the entire world was closed. And it was like, you add another barrier of like, if I was even to open a restaurant again, add the barrier of COVID. So I was like using that, I think, as an excuse. And then finally, of all people, my therapist said, just do it. She was like, just do it. You've been talking about this for 3 months and I don't see any of the boxes behind you moving. Cause I would have my appointment in their office. Shit. And she's like, I haven't seen anything move. And I was like, well damn. Well, damn. I was like, I got called out by my therapist.
Okay. It's working.
I know. And then that was like, 2022, September 2022. And so I chose, the other part of the story is like, I chose an arbitrary date. And I was like, well, I just have to figure it out and launch it by November 11th. I chose a really, really random date.
Wow.
I would go to sleep and because I think 11/11 is like an angel number. And I would go to sleep and I would see 11/11. I just kept seeing it over and over. And I was like, oh, if I release 11/11, that's a great day to release in time for the holidays. Me not knowing anything. And anyone that's in CPG will know that's a terrible time. Everyone will know that's a terrible time. So I, got on a call with Here Mark and they're like, you want to release now? Like, we already have our holiday lineup. And I was like, yes. And luckily, Carly over at Here Market was like, this is going to be a great product. She's going to release it before Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like, it's such a crunch time for all these businesses anyways. So somehow I got on, sold out. 2 weeks before I was like, I don't even know how to can. I don't even know how to can this. I'm just like crying, looking up YouTube, like, how do these jars stay closed?
Oil's everywhere.
I was like, what do I do?
Oh my goodness.
But again, like, you put a deadline and you want it enough, you will do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just need to do it. And if it's not perfect, or if I only put out 24, I did it. I said, I'll do it. And so luckily I got somewhere between 72 and 80 jars out on the 11th, and it sold out within the hour because my friends roll hard. I think
awesome.
They were like,
oh my goodness,
like 2 people bought a case and everyone bought like 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And it sold out within the hour. So they placed another order. I was like, oh my God, I just figured out how to close this. So like,
oh, that's so cool.
So that was the start. You just like figure it out. And I think releasing the sauce at where I was just mentally at that point was a good reminder to be like, even if you start small, you can do it. And then what I loved about the sauce is like, fast forward 2 years to now, like I've met you, the amount of people that I've met that are just like, we're going to do it. We're going to find an answer. That's why I love meeting other small business owners. It's like, you dreamt of this and you just did it. With my LLC, I do everything from, there's some pink salt merchandise,
Nice.
It's just silly.
Nice.
It's like, I never thought I would have a merchandise line that people would buy.
Hell yeah.
So
I think a lot of people get hung up on the how. And they freeze in that because they don't know how, or they just keep Googling all these things without fully identifying the what. Like, what do they want to do?
For me, it's the why.
Yeah, exactly. That too. Yeah. So is it why, what, and then how?
Ooh. Okay.
Like,
This is
why do you want to do this? What are you going to do to fulfill that why? And how are we going to get there?
Yeah. For me, it's why. I think that's what fuels me.
Yeah.
Over and over. Like, ultimately, I struggled. I could take it back to, when I was sad about not getting into med school. It was like, I always wanted to feel seen. And this whole model minority that like, oh, if you don't fit the model, you are not seen. And like, why aren't we celebrating Asians in creative fields? And like, I would have loved to have met, what would I be like had I met an Asian in a creative field, a female leader when I was 16? Would my story be different? And like, that's what drives me. Like, I would love for the next generation to feel like they don't have to be a doctor. They don't have to break themselves down and live an unhappy life because that's all there was before them. Yeah. And so for me to release the sauce, I know it sounds like barely connected, but for me to release the sauce as a form of my creativity, but then also uplifting like my own heritage to make someone that looks like me, feels like me, feel celebrated and honored and seen, like that is my why. Like that is why I'll continue to do it. So I know at the end of the day, it's just some chili sauce in a jar. You know, like sometimes I'm like, don't get too into it. Like it's chili sauce in a jar.
I mean, but on the flip side, get into it.
Get into it. It's a delicious chili sauce in a jar.
Literally and figuratively, in the sense of, I think people that, like Chicagoans especially, that go hard for other small business owners, they are curious about the backstory. They're curious about your ethos, and they understand that when they do pay a premium for a jar of chili jam, that they're supporting you in your dream.
Yes.
And they're happily doing it.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, I know the sauce sits at a decent price point. Yeah. But I pay everyone that works for me well. Yeah. I would love to think that they're happy working for me and creating this little... I also refrain from using the word family when it comes to any food industry related stuff. Sure. But we have this little group that I think is just
But now that you're in a position to cultivate that family, can we now call it a family? I don't know.
I still refrain from that because sometimes family can be a little toxic and we let them pass that because they're
like crossing boundaries and things like that.
Yeah, I would like to say they're just a wonderful group of individuals. Yeah. And I hope in turn I make them feel seen. Like they get to do something. Like I have an operations manager now. I have someone that, 2 people on production. Like they're just all wonderful people. And so when people buy that jar, that these are the faces that are making it. Like one of my guys has his own pop-up that I absolutely love and loan him anything that he needs for his pop-up if he needs it, because I have a garage full of it. I'm like, please take it. But it's that trickle-down effect. Like you buy the sauce and you're empowering my dream, and I hope you see a little bit of me in yourself, whether it's like you, Victor, but like you, person buying it at Agora Market or wherever you may purchase the sauce, that you pick it up, listen to this story, and that realize that you can do it too. Like I really want people to like see that whatever I've done, you can do it too. Yeah. Like I think I have a unique story, but I don't think I have a unique motivation. It's like this is a lot of people's why.
I mean, I think everyone can agree they want to feel seen.
Exactly. Like a lot of people share that sentiment.
And the amount of healing that I've gone through in the sense of like this resentment of not feeling seen by your parents, so needing to go out of your way to prove something of yourself to eventually try to feel seen. Realizing that they probably saw you in just different ways, maybe in ways that you didn't want, or not in ways you needed, but realizing that they did see you in different ways. Yes. I think the want to be seen by our parents is always going to be a work in progress. Yeah. I think, sometimes I have a little bit of guilt, or probably a lot of guilt, because my parents emigrated all the way here to like have a really great job and provide, they pay for my college. Like I'm very, very fortunate. Did you ever ask why Central Illinois? I know why. Oh. Because people typically gravitate towards other people that look like them. Yeah, that would have been ideal. Or not, I don't know. It would have been ideal, but it also like made my family who we are. Like my family is like incredibly hardworking. But they came here for their residency at UIC. My dad is actually my mom's chemistry tutor. Oh, wow. Back in Thailand, they were in med school. And so he was like, telling my mom, like, you should move here too. And then I think there was some motivation to encourage doctors with specialties to go to underserved towns in exchange for a green card. Oh, so was there a time where they did live in the city? Yeah, so they lived like Tri-Taylor. I know the exact building, like Ashland and Taylor.
like that northeast corner.
Yeah, those little condo buildings over there. Oh, wow.
Like someone tried to steal my dad's car, kitty corner from that. My dad ran downstairs and punched out the window and grabbed the guy. My mom's like, that probably wasn't that smart. But they tell us wonderful Chicago stories. And even where my first restaurant was, my mom's like, this is where we used to buy meat.
Yeah. Okay.
She like came in, she's like, oh, we used to buy like chicken and pork here.
That's amazing.
So
it used to smell like that in Fulton Market.
Yeah, it was like the meat district or whatever. But sorry, keep going. My ADHD is just like, where are we?
No, you're good. You're good.
But even to this day, having my parents see me, I think I had to change my perspective of what feeling seen by my parents mean. It could be...
And coming to a level of acceptance, maybe?
Yeah. And it's like, I really struggle with it. And even sometimes, like, my parents will call me on the phone. I'm just like, okay.
But they're actually calling you? What are they asking? Or what do they need?
My dad has now gotten into this thing of like, you should go on Shark Tank.
So they're supporting you in different ways.
Yeah, and like to me, I'm just like, I don't want to go on Shark Tank. Like, not at this stage. Like, Dad, I'm moving.
That's so funny.
I'm moving like 12 units. It was like so early. I was like, Dad, I think I got other things to worry about. And at that time, I really got, like each stage I got like when I had the restaurant, my parents would show up unannounced on a Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Like they would just come in.
Yeah.
2.5 hour drive. They'd just show up unannounced. I'd be like, what? Like 4 p.m. and I'm just like eating with my staff between service, and they just show up and I'm like, I don't like this.
Oh, interesting.
But now it's such a fond memory. It's like, for me, it was like really just trying to see the intent. To them, that's all they know. To them, showing up is being supportive. In the moment, I probably was frustrated, but now they're both still alive. So thankful.
Oh, goodness. Good.
But that's going to be such a core memory of my dad walking in at 4:30 and being like, can I order this? I'm like, yes, you can. Like, it was a little weird at the time, but now I'm like, that was how they knew how to show that I cared. And he'd be like, you should add this on the menu. And at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, is what I'm doing not enough? Is it? But at the time, it's like, but that to him is his input. That he wants to help. That's his form of support.
Can you imagine if they actually did say like, it's not good enough?
Oh my God, no. But they're not. They're not actually saying that. We think we hear it, for me at least. I don't know your parents, but for me, it's like, I think that's what I thought I was hearing. Yeah. But as I'm unpacking it, it's just questions. And that's all they know. I don't know whether it's a language barrier or just understanding. And then even now, like the Shark Tank comment. And it happens like every other phone call. And now that I've gotten bigger, I'm just kind of like, well, maybe. And my dad's like, yes. And then he like emails me like, Mark Cuban did this. And I was like, what? But to him, he now knows what like a Series A is. Like,
wow.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, but he sat down and like watched it. And that was like his way of understanding it.
Took the time,
even though he says like, so initially I felt like, oh my God, is what I'm doing not enough? I have to be on Shark Tank for them to validate me. But really it comes down to, he sees the promise and the intent, and whether I actually go on Shark Tank or not, it doesn't matter. But to him, it's his attempt to understand, and I appreciate that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So for me, it was changing the perspective of how it'll never be perfect. It'll always be a work in progress. Yeah. But I think when I started to shift how I heard them, and then also when I stopped pushing back or being like snarky, they softened.
Like they're living their first life too, right?
Yeah. Like they softened too some. So like it kind of really goes both ways.
It does.
And even like I don't know. When I say I'm close to 40, then I'm like to admit. No, actually, I have no care in admitting. Yeah, I'm 37. But even at this age, I still throw a tantrum like a little kid. Sometimes it's just like you just retort back to the stage, and it's like, wait a second, like they're living their first life, I'm living my first life. Like we are just figuring this out and just
giving each other grace.
I hope. the goal is to do that, but sometimes it's,
I know.
Get on Shark Tank. Like, what?
Yeah. Tell me how. I don't know. Just add to the conversation.
Like, so it's, the intent is there, and I just have to boil it down and maybe just simplify it to that they really do care. Now my mom's just worried that I work too much. Mm-hmm. But what's funny is when I first opened the restaurant, I was like, I'm going to like go for awards and have it be dinner and bar.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I think you should just have a cafe and have some work-life balance. And then now that the sauce is, becoming more stable and like creating, it's
Are you
sturdy.
having more time to think about what else you might want then?
Yeah. So it's like work-life balance is what I would love. And I was like, maybe I should have a cafe. Oh my God, my mom's been right for the last 10 years. Oh,
it's like, I see.
And then I was like, maybe I should listen a little more closely to these people that have lived on this earth 4 decades before me, like maybe, maybe they know a thing or two. So maybe it's growing and just realizing that they're trying and that they do know something.
I've also recently come full circle about the sentiment of when people say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Mm-hmm. I've kind of gone reverse in the sense of, in order to have a journey, you need to have a destination. And so I wonder, and you get this question a lot, if you still have opening a restaurant as this destination, or what your destination might be at the moment, and just sprinkling in the how and the journey in between.
One day I'll have a restaurant again.
Yeah.
But that is a really tough question, because I really lived in having a destination for the longest time.
Oh, okay.
And so when that destination isn't complete, I felt inadequate.
Sure.
And now how I choose to think is about, I don't know, my husband says this a lot, fulfillment versus happiness.
Yeah.
It's like, I would rather be fulfilled because happiness is fleeting.
Well, fulfillment, I think you acknowledge how much work goes into feeling fulfilled.
Yeah. And it's something that you can actually do.
Yeah.
Where happiness is almost like, I don't know whether it's like gifted to you. Someone's always going to have a family member in the hospital or some unfortunate life occurrence. And that's something you can't control. But what is fulfillment? Like,
there's many more things out of your control.
Yeah. Where fulfillment is just like, well, this is what's happening and this is how I choose to deal with it.
Yeah.
But with the journey and destination,
maybe understanding that the destination can move.
Yes.
It's a moving target.
It's a moving target.
It's a target.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, I love having hopes, dreams, goals, all of that. Like, a target is fun, but I have to enjoy my everyday, because otherwise I'm going to burn myself out.
Well, there was also, I wonder if you still do it, but pop-up dinners.
Oh, yeah. I will do pop-up dinners from time to time. I just took a little bit of a breather because of this accelerator program the last few months. Those fulfill me.
I can't, collaborating is usually, I can't think of a time when it wasn't fulfilling. And so the number of collaborators that you've collabed with in the city, has it been around the country as well, or just in Chicago?
I've been around the country, which I never thought I would do, which was like, whoa. Like, I got invited to do a dinner in Austin.
Yeah, okay.
Wild. Wow. I did a dinner in DC on the pier. I was like, never in a million years I thought I would. First, also, whenever people say Chef Palita, I'm like, huh? What? Come again? It's like, it's something I dreamed about when I was little for so long. And then to be able to travel and be acknowledged for something I love and am passionate about. And on top of that, I would like to think I've built some form of a platform to collaborate with others. When I did room service, which was my takeout only pop-up during the pandemic because we couldn't dine in. So I wanted to create this program that the food didn't feel like leftovers. Like, you didn't just order Thai takeout and then let it go cold and then get it. Like, everything was like par cooked. So the menu had like...
Reminds me of funeral potatoes.
Yeah. I started around I think I started right around, there was like an era of pop-ups. It was like me, funeral potatoes. I also can't like bake or do pastry. at all. Like the extent of me making desserts that are not Thai is like a Rice Krispie.
Okay.
And the occasional brownie. Like I can do it if I really thought about it, but it's the love for it. I love eating it. I don't love making it.
Okay.
So it was really fun. I was like, wait, I don't want to do pastry.
Okay.
So I could collaborate with the pastry. And if you have someone that just loves pastry, and I was like, I can tell you exactly how much to make so that you're not losing anything, because I pre-ordered for takeout. And
win.
And I was like, so now we have this fully encompassing meal and a pastry person that other people might not have known, because I don't know whether you always know the pastry artists, unless minus like the major ones like Mindy.
Yeah,
and
I just
like
posted about Dan the Baker, but
yeah. So this is like, I think Dan's been around for a long time, but I think Dan the Baker, I heard about him like a year after. Otherwise, I would have loved to have him.
Yeah.
But at the time, like Kidao Tapao was just starting, and they're lovely. And
where are they? I haven't heard of them. Where are they based?
I think they're based here in Chicago. They're just this really lovely, I think Malaysian food. They do like kuis. They do like these really, really intricate pastries that you just cannot find. Like they're really beautiful, really took a lot of work.
Okay.
And they were just starting out, and my sous chef at the time is friends with them. And so he's like, oh, we got to feature them. I was like, sure, why not? And I just remember like 2 days before we were supposed to launch it, I was like, do you have a logo? They're like, it's coming. And I was like, great. You know, it was like it was such a fun partnership to work with them, and just to see them grow, see Pink Salt grow, and see people just get really into this experience, because they'd open this kit and like make the food accordingly to make the food, meaning like pour out sauce,
very cool,
toss it or microwave it, and then open this beautiful pastry box in a time where it was very drear. That element of collaborating was just so fun to see all the people rotate through. I had a floral artist. I had just so many more people who did pastry that just blew my mind. This one girl did a butterfly pea blue panna cotta.
Ooh.
And her visuals for it were insane. They were like butterflies, and like, because everything was sold online. So like we really leaned into the artwork of this. And so like it was this panna cotta, like she put it on a mirror, and it just had all this flower and pea, like butterflies on it. And it just looks so cool. And so to be able to share that as an experience with our customers was just so fun.
Yeah. And that led to in-person dinners?
Yeah. So once things started opening again, restaurants that had lost maybe their chef, or, you know, like were reopening and trying to figure out the space, reached out to me. So I took over Soho House for a weekend, which was so cool. Really tough all at once. Yeah. I don't know. It was just like really tough. What happened was like made everyone make reservations, and then everyone just showed up at once. I was like, well, I got to run 72 orders between 7 and 7:30 right now.
But it was for takeaway or for eating there?
For dining in. So like it really kind of, that's tedious. We got flat set, which is not ideal.
Okay.
But like everyone's reservation time was staggered by 40 minutes. But it was like the first time people eating out again. And it was like a whole, like everybody was like still a little nervous. I was like, I'm a little nervous too, but but that was just so lovely. Fast forward to, I never thought I could pull this off. Last year in January, Margaret Pak of Thatu, phenomenal.
Still haven't been.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I sign you homework? You go.
Yes.
Tell her I sent you. She's just absolutely lovely. She was leaving for 2 weeks for a winter break vacation. And she's like, I'll give you the keys to the restaurant if, like you can offer some hours to the people that are still here.
Amazing.
Just have at it at the space. She's like, she knows I won't break shit.
How did you, so you just had an established friendship already?
Yeah. I've been friends with her for
That's killer.
a long time.
Wow.
So she was a pop-up slightly before me. So I attended her pop-up, and then we started becoming friends.
Wow.
And then she was in the Politan Row food market. I was in the Fulton Galley food hall, and in between shifts, we would just go commiserate at each other's stalls.
Very
like,
cool.
You know.
Okay.
But
So she knows that you're a pro at a professional what you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she.
Oh, so cool.
Oh my God, the amount of trust she had.
So you
in me.
definitely and your acknowledgement of her trust in you definitely allowed you to run wild.
Yes, I was like, really? She's like, yeah, go for it.
Very cool.
So we ran several seatings of 40. I don't remember. Maybe it was like 50 or 60. I don't know. It was a lot of people, a lot more people than I didn't realize, a lot more people than expected. But we did a 7-course dinner with my friend Fred, who's also a wonderful Thai chef. And the two of us just put together this like really thoughtful dinner that we called Love Letter to Chiang Mai. It was multiple tables of community style dining. I think we had almost 260 people. I know we had some late.
How many different seatings, or was that one seating?
We had, I think, 5 seatings.
Wow.
And we just
That's a lot in one night. 5 seatings.
No, it was not one night. It was over the course of like
okay,
a long
5.
weekend.
Okay.
And then at the end, we just kind of like did a pop-up of everything that was left because I wanted to deplete inventory.
Yes.
But to the customer, it's like I did a very signature dish, and it was just like, here are all the highlights of what's left. Give it a try, you know. And people, you know, whether they could meet the price point that was the seated 7-course dinner, or whether they could just come in on our final Monday night and just enjoy this dish and that dish, for them to just enjoy something a little bit different.
Yeah. And
I just never thought I could like pull that off because so much rides on one weekend. I had a staff like 13 people.
Amazing.
So the overhead on that, I just remember the week leading into it. I was like, man, the overhead on this is so
How big
high.
was your team in Fulton Galley?
Per shift, I had three or four people.
Yeah, and at this time, you've cultivated such a community that when there's an ask for some help, people are willing to jump in.
I am so thankful for that, and it took years. You know, early on, I didn't know anyone. I was astonished. So people were like, why am I going to go work for someone that's never worked at a kitchen? Sure. So the fact that I was able to train my first set of Pink Salt employees to make Thai food was so wild. And I remember these Thai ladies came in and they looked at my Sue, who's a redhead, and it was just like, he's making the food? And I was just like, yeah, he's great. And they're like, what? They're making this dish that we haven't seen in 15 years, and this redhead's making it.
I used to have this question. I've come to terms with like how food is global, but like this, you know, cultural appropriation with different cultures or different people making different cultures food and stuff like that. And I mean, it seems like you've come to, it's just like food is food, and if you can do it right or like do it true to the culture, does it matter who makes it?
Well, he worked for me, so it was like
an extension.
Yeah, so it was an extension. I can't make 100% of the dishes coming out of my kitchen. So 100%. Like he was always respectful, always had just really great intent, extreme curiosity towards the food. He never felt like, oh, I invented. That's the difference. Anyone can make the food, and I do think food is more than just food, but don't pretend like you invented it. Like that's the thing. Like, oh, there's this great, was it Yoon Mi Mayer? She did this really funny 20-second reel pretending to be a blogger making like spaghetti. He's like, oh, this is spaghetti. He's like, I went to the, like, it's just such the funniest, it's such a funny bit, but it's that feeling of like, there is I have to be mindful of cultural appropriation. But then also for me, coming from someone that is Thai, born in America, I can't pretend that I'm Thai, born in Thailand. And so my food is very specifically through my lens. And then I get people saying like, well, that's not authentic enough. And I'm like, well,
it's always gonna be someone.
I was like, but what does authenticity mean in this context? And then also the funniest thing is no Thai restaurant catering to Thai locals put the word authentic in their storefront. Yeah. So when you put the word authentic, that's actually tourist facing. So isn't that the irony in all that? It's like very, you're like measuring some other culture's worth based on this, like, ancient's not the word, but outdated measure, and who declared it and why did they declare that? Like,
yeah.
So when people be like, your food's not authentic, and I'm like, how so?
And who are you?
Like, yeah, I can make something with apples because apples are great and they're local, but is it still with fish sauce? It's still balanced. It's still hitting the heat. You know, like, am I still doing it? The service that it gets, like fresh, like, why am I going to go against fresh produce here? Like, that doesn't make sense to me, but are all the flavors correct? And do you not think that people cooking in Thailand aren't pushing the envelope forward too?
Damn.
That
they're like stuck in time.
Yeah. So it's like, one of my favorite reviews was, the food's not street foodie enough.
Oh.
What? What does that mean? Like, do you want me to pull out like a plastic stool for you?
Oh,
and like,
yeah. No gloves.
No gloves,
skewers,
no nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, what makes it street foodie? Like, you're eating this in a very nice building. That is now the Patagonia store.
Oh, really?
It's now the Patagonia store in Fulton Market. Not street foodie enough. It's like, what do you want me to do here?
Wow.
So it's like, who measures that? Like, it's always someone. Most of the time, it's someone not of that culture declaring that this isn't authentic enough, and then also. Yeah, like, even when it is the most authentic, it's like, well, we're just recreating something that already.
Well, despite being born in America, you spent your summers in Thailand.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Both of my parents worked, and so
no summer camp, no summer school, like
no, none. I like begged to go to tennis camp.
Wow.
They just. I don't know, Memorial Day hit and they're like, you're going to Thailand. Labor Day came back home. Like, that just was.
And you stayed with family?
I stayed with family.
Okay.
My mom still lives in Thailand half of the year.
Oh, wow.
So I would go with her for an extended period of time, and I would see my cousins.
Oh, very cool.
And my cousins are a little bit older, so I would just hang out with my retired aunts because all my cousins were like in college. Like, nobody wants to hang out with their like 12-year-old little cousin and you're like 22 and in college doing college things. And I'm just like, well, I'm here. I'm the youngest cousin out of all of us.
So what did you end up doing? Errands, chores, cooking? Like, what?
Ran errands.
Yeah.
I would, go to the equivalent of Thai Costco. I think it's called a Tesco. And then when I was born, I didn't have means of transportation, so I would just walk to the wet market and just wander around, and I would just talk to every vendor because that's what stimulated me.
Yeah.
And so I'd like talk to the noodle vendor, I would talk to the dried meat vendor, and like that's what I ended up looking forward to every day.
Little did you know it's going to lead you down this path.
Yeah.
Or maybe you did know.
No, it's like it's going back to the musician thing. Like, why did you have me take all these musical instruments classes and then tell me not to be a musician? My parents exposed me to all this amazing food, had me follow my aunts, had me go to the grocery store, and like they're so strict, I like wasn't allowed to like go to the movies, because it'd be too late. So I would just get up early. I would help my aunts feed the monks at dawn. Then I might, go and get a soda from the local convenience store and talk to the people there and buy the little candies, the nostalgic candies hanging from the wall. And then in the afternoon, I might swing by the fruit stand because I wanted some fruit. Like,
that's cool.
What am I supposed to do in like
you
a
were
suburb?
Living like a local, yeah.
Yeah, like what am I supposed to do in the suburb, this rural suburb of Thailand? And then also, my area had a true floating market, not not the fancy one that you see in the pictures, but just like my mom's house is along the river. And so when the tide was high enough, my husband loves making fun of this one. It's like, someone would be selling ladders. And my husband's like, how many people need ladders?
They're still out here slinging ladders.
He's like, how long is this vendor going to keep selling ladders? I was like, that's how it was done. Like, there wasn't a road to the house until about 15 years ago. And so someone would come by and sell ladders. But the more fun ones, I shouldn't tease that one too much. But the more fun ones, like someone would, as I say it in Thai, row a boat in and sell a roast duck.
Okay.
Or one would be a Thai sweets, and it would just be one after the other, and I would just take a book and I would just read it in front of the steps of my mom's house, and that is what I looked forward to.
Wow.
Every aspect of the day, everything was revolved around food for me. So like for me it was a no-brainer, and then when I grew up and I was like, I wonder why I want to cook. And then I did my study abroad in Japan, and my friends were like, oh, let's go hit the clubs. I'm like, sure. And then we'd stay out till 2 a.m. I was like, I know what's open at 2 a.m. So I'd drag him. We'd go to Skiji and sit there and just wait for the boats to come in. And we'd be the first ones at...
Wait. Is this Japan or Thailand?
That part was part was Japan.
Okay.
So like my entire life has just been following food markets.
Wow.
Like anywhere I travel, it's like I'm just at the food market.
Yeah.
And I knew, and this is all before I started staging, like my fascination with stores and vendors, and was like from these summers.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's fast forward a little bit to when Fulton Galley closed, and you're reevaluating what the possible next steps could be. But it was at that time when people would ask for sauce to go.
It was room service where people asked for sauce to go. That was when they asked.
Okay.
So Fulton Galley closed, and I have this big thing of like...
Did you, within the 5 months, did you see the prospect of one day your own brick and mortar? Of like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could totally do this.
I was living in it. It was the first time in my life that I really felt seen. Like it really...
And by who? Because like sometimes we're very particular as to who you want to be seen by. Yeah.
I think it was for myself.
Okay.
When you study for something like the MCAT, but your heart's not in it, none of the information lines up because you just don't care. Mm-hmm. And it was like just kind of banging my head against the wall over and over. The fourth time I took it was just banging my head. I was like, I don't care. I cared about the stuff in the lab because I learned with my hands. But when it came time to open the restaurant and I had to do something, it didn't bother me that it took 6 hours to figure it out. It was like almost re-energizing, like, oh, I know I can find the answer to this because I really care. So everything down to streamlining how we did our papaya salads, to making a really great curry, and figuring out how to train my all non-Thai team how to make some really great Thai food. We figured it out, and it was just...
At that time, did you care that they were non-Thai?
No, I did not care.
Initially you didn't let me find some Thai friends to help me with this?
That's kind of the weird thing. So because I didn't grow up in Chicago, I don't have... At that time, I didn't know many Thai people here, let alone Thai people in the food industry. Now I do, but at that time I was just like, anyone that's willing to work for me can work for me. Like all I want, and I still do this, all I want for someone that works for me is to be honest and curious. Yeah. That's it. I cannot teach you those two things. I can teach you anything else, yes, but I cannot teach you curiosity. And the first set of people I had, actually I've been very blessed with the people that have worked for me. They were just sweet, just willing to learn, wanting to learn. And also my sous chef, his background is French food. So he was just like, I just want to learn something different. Okay. He's like, I can bake breads, I can do this. And he's like, but I don't know how to make a curry. And I was like, well, let me teach you. I'm like, let's do it. And then he streamlined it in a way that we could be extremely consistent, and we could meet 15-minute ticket times, and we could run this. Like,
is that from his French background?
I think so. Yeah. We had our chickens perfectly par cooked. But if you go to a Thai restaurant, you got to phone in and be like, hey, I want a chicken tonight. And they'll be like, give us 50 minutes, but we had these chickens, and it's West Loop. So you have to be fast service. So we had, the chicken perfectly par cooked, so juicy. That is all him. So wonderful. And then we had these pickles. He got really into pickles. He was always really into pickles. And I was like, all right, sure, you want to do pickles? Here's some things. Here's some fun Thai stuff to pickle. And so we would just be in the back, just processing produce and pickling it. So when I started making my khao soi, which is a curried braised beef noodle braised beef over egg noodle, and the big star of it is like pickles and a
very
roasted
cool.
chili jam.
Yeah, you don't see that too often.
You don't see it. It's starting to be much more popular now. Okay. But the touch of, we did the curry and we did these special pickles, like people like
picked up on that. Yeah.
Picked up on it and just like really leaned into it. So when I got to do a pop-up with Let Us Entertain You, and they're like, can you do that dish?
Was that the ramen san?
Yeah, it was the ramen san. Cool. They're like, can you do that dish? And I was like, more than happy to do this. But things like that like made the food just so special. And to me, I didn't care if they were Thai or not. They did the work.
Yeah.
They did it with so much integrity. And I think we all put out something that we were all very proud of.
Yeah.
And that's all I can ask for.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So the devastation of the closing. How are we feeling?
Dancing on the bar.
Were you really?
Yes.
We've become delusional.
I know. It was devastating.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me that it was devastating until 2 months later.
Oh, okay.
Because I had functioned in survival mode. We were open 7 days a week, lunch and dinner.
Oh.
They were taking 30%. I should know this, but I am an MBA failure. Gross revenue, like before the food costs. So we were losing money. It wasn't a good setup for us. And then when the food hall was suffering, they handled the beverage program. And so they panicked and they started just offering crazy happy hour deals. And so the clientele that I was told that this food hall was going to have didn't match with the clientele that was coming in. It was a clientele that wanted just an $8 pizza. They wanted half off old fashions. They wanted French fries.
Okay, so nashan, not something like not a dinner or anything.
Not
like
a dinner.
Yeah.
So it just like got to a weird point. I was like, this clientele doesn't match the clientele I was originally.
Would you meet with the food hall every so often?
So we would meet with the owners every week. We had a weekly meeting, and I'd be like, hey, you got to figure out valet. Ooh. Hey, you got to figure out this patio seating. Hey, you got to figure out this. But running one concept in a building alone is tough. Running 5 concepts in a building is extremely tough. Yeah. So it's like the bagel place wanted to be open in the morning. I wanted to be, my best time was dinner. But if the bagel place has the first stall facing the street and the bagel place is closed, but I'm open in the back, the typical person walking by thinks we're closed.
Oh, no.
So it was just all these logistics that we just could not overcome.
Wow.
Just like they wanted different hours that were optimized for their business. I needed different hours for mine. There was a lot of overhead. The West Loop crowd is tough because there's so many options. Yeah. That is some serious competition, which is fine. But again, at that point, there becomes a point where everyone's just price shopping. I want happy hour drinks. I want French fries. And it's a big food hall. So then we'd have people come in groups of 20, 30. We one time had a bus load of kids come in. And what that does to a 4-person kitchen without any prior knowledge of their arrival, it's like the service wasn't smooth. My customer experience wasn't where I wanted it to be. And so any time that I wanted to improve it, the improvements were so slow.
Okay.
And so when we closed, I was just like,
I see. That makes sense. The dancing. That tracks.
I was like,
interesting.
And it is sad.
Yeah.
But it was beyond my control at that point. So maybe I'm
such a healthy mentality.
Yeah. Like it's just so beyond it was just so like laughable.
Yeah.
And so beyond my control. And literally I did everything that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I felt proud,
Absolutely.
like, you know what I mean? It's like, I built this team.
Yeah.
I made this food. I felt more seen by myself that I knew I could do something I put my mind to, where before I wasn't sure of that. Mm-hmm. My relationship with my parents was starting to really improve. And so to me, as devastating as it was positive. And then because of that devastation, I knew the moment Foxtrot happened, I was like, we've been here before. I can control what happens out of this. And when I ask people, when I wrote a very honest post of like, hey, this happened with Foxtrot. I'm not going to say anything so terrible because sometimes shit happens.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the knowledge of the consumer.
And how they handled it. Yeah.
And how they handled it.
Yeah.
And that post really took off. And then my inventory just got cleared out once again. And I think the story, it just becomes all a part of my story of my business and like who I am. Like, these are all giant checkpoints. And it's like people want to define success by like all the really great parts of their life. But it's like success is like when you can kind of navigate some really tough choices. And I think that's like when someone's character really comes out. And for me, I was like, how do I want to remember myself? Did I go down without a fight, or did I like be like, no, I control how you see me, how you view me. I know my products are good. I want to support the community. And in this time, I need the community support. And people just pulled through.
They showed up.
And they showed up. And I'm so thankful for that time. And I honestly wouldn't change it, because even with Foxtrot, I was only like in, I can't remember the exact number, somewhere between 8 and 12 stores before. So Foxtrot gave me 35 more. And so to go from 8 stores and add 35 more within a month.
Wait, so that actually happened? You were able to produce? I think the article said like you asked some friends to help you can and jar extra. Like, we need to do this.
I was like, we're just gonna do this. Roll up your sleeves. You figure out and you do this. Like, I probably should have entered a co-manufacturer at that point, but I'm so glad I didn't. Like, because I just didn't trust. You asked me to expand in 4 weeks. Like, there's no way I can enter a co-man. But it reminded me how much I could. Not reminded me, I didn't even know then. Yeah. It told me like I could scale. I hired a consultant. I got all of my certifications done in 2 weeks. Again, if you want it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And so I got all my certifications, got everything approved, moved to a bigger kitchen. I did that all in 3 or 4 weeks.
Wow.
And so when I lost Foxtrot, it's like, well, I grew way beyond what I thought I ever could do. And now I have this infrastructure to take on large accounts again. So
yeah,
so now I'm ready. I'm primed and ready. So I can benefit from this situation. A lot of businesses and markets reached out and they're like, how can we support? And I was like, can you stock my product? And I was just went with it. And I did the markets and we hustled. I was in like 2 or 3 markets a week for like 6 weeks. The post went viral online. I think it got something like, for me, it's a lot of shares. Something got like 75 shares. So how many? Yeah. And people still say,
eyeballs,
how many eyeballs? So like people were like, oh, I still remember seeing it in the stories. Like, I just took the most recent photo I have of me, and I was like, I wish I combed my hair.
Oh, stop it. Yeah, add modeling to your list of things you do.
I was like, I wish I combed my hair. But it just, both points were devastating, but I choose not to remember myself like that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I choose to...
It's definitely part of your story, but you persevered.
Yeah. Like, I choose to just... It was a test to see of, like, I am a badass. I can do this. Like, I will do this. And to say that the restaurant closed and then Foxtrot happened. So I'm like, so I think this is going to happen about every 3 years. So I'm like, what's the next one?
It's a full moon again.
You know, I was like, bring it on. So it's like, it's never going to stop happening. And you think about who you admire and who has really survived all of this is like the people that just keep picking themselves up and doing it again and doing it better or faster or more efficiently or more passionately. Like, those are the people that are going to keep moving forward. So
that's wild. Was there any like type of communication between some of the vendors within Foxtrot to like, how can we like, are you getting any communication? Are you getting any communication? Like, how can we help each other at this time?
It was a big, I don't think it was official between all of the vendors, but I was in a couple threads, like one women's group called Enthuse Foundation. They're like, how can we all support you? We know about a dozen of you that are in our network. It's a women's group. They're like, how about we all hop on a Zoom call the next day? And it was interesting because a lot of people had so much great intent to help.
Yeah.
But like what it actually what could actually come out of it. You know, it was like, let's say 36 people wanted to help. What actually became like real opportunities were like 6, but I appreciate the intent. It's tough. There's just like a lot going on and I can't be in 20 places at once. It's like you just did your best. Like even Publican reached out and they're like, do you want us to stock your product?
I went
do you
there,
want...
Yeah. Saw Carolyn Crisps and
I love Amy. Oh my gosh, she's so lovely. So we became
pretty cool, sold out right before that. Yeah.
I don't know whether she likes this joke or not, but I'm like, Amy, we're trauma bonded. She's like, okay, Palita. I'm like, but we are. It's like, but that was like, I got to meet her through that. I met her at the market and now I see her every week.
She's I most recently saw her at Chicago Pizza Summit, which was like very interesting to see her at Chicago Pizza Summit.
She has a pizza flavor and it's so
That's
good.
probably why. Oh, okay.
She came out with this like Pomodoro flavor. Oh my gosh. I didn't know she could top the white cheddar crisp. But the acidity of the tomato and this like
very cool.
So good. So good. That is a Pink Salt team snack that's always there because we produce out of the same building.
Oh, very cool.
So I'm always just like, hey, can I?
Yeah. I'm sure I'll have to ask her to come on.
Please do. Yeah.
What, let's see where I was trying to take this.
The last thing you asked was like the devastation. Now we have Amy.
Well, I guess like working with other markets and other bodegas, like, have you now cultivated a set of terms that you need to run down before another host wants to carry your product?
Oh gosh. A smarter business person would say yes. Foxtrot has never approached me, so I never had to really answer that question.
Oh, okay.
For the most part, I'm just so small that, I deliver a case, you pay that day.
Yeah.
Like payment due on receipt.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's very, at this stage, very simple. As I'm scaling to enter Fresh Time and hopefully more Fresh Time stores, then I will have to go through their distributor. And so that's why it's this big jump of like, oh, now I take on a distributor. Eventually I'll take on a broker and each person takes a percentage out of my wholesale price, which the margin's already slim enough. And that I'll have to negotiate. So like everything down, Amy would be a much more better resource to ask this question. But as time goes on, I have to set net 30 terms. Foxtrot was my first net 30 terms. And that took some adjustment.
What does that mean?
So basically it's like keeping a tab open. Anything that you order for 30 days, you pay out 30 days after. So like it requires a lot of planning for your cash flow and especially like supplying 35 stores all at once. So I didn't see... You're
depleted.
Yeah.
And how often are you hunting down people?
Exactly. So Foxtrot was getting slower and slower to pay each invoice and it's just tough. And also as a business person, as someone that owns a business, you have to be able to tolerate someone not paying and you don't see that payment for 2 months. So like, for example, I had a really wonderful month last month because I was featured in the kitchen and all those sales were great, but I'm not going to see that payment till like January. It's like not from the kitchen, but just from like all of my vendors. But like I already had to front the money to produce that product and replenish. And so it's just getting used to that, just being able to tolerate it. But it comes with growing pains. It's all pretty, I don't know, is the words, it's standard.
You mentioned, I listened to your episode on the Emerging Brand podcast, and with Here, it's like on a consignment. Is that more beneficial?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
For me, Here Market, it's absolutely lovely.
And it's not a physical. Do they have a physical location?
No.
Okay.
That's why they're able to offer consignment. If they had a physical place, then that's when it has to become wholesale with cases because then you're paying rent.
Yeah.
But Here Market, I got on them because it's consignment, and especially starting out, it gave me the best cost split, and I didn't want to handle my own direct to consumer sales. It was already hard enough to produce the product. it's going to be even harder logistically to fulfill it and mail it. And I just wasn't ready yet. So now I know how to, but I don't.
Are they stocking and fulfilling?
They're stocking and fulfilling.
Interesting.
So like if you were to go on pinksaltkitchens.com and click buy now, it just takes you to here.
Oh, very cool.
And then with also here, they pay for ads. Like they know how to. Like I don't know how to pay. Like how do of all the places that you're going to look up Thai condiments, how do I know to direct you to my site? Like that takes some money.
Yeah.
But with Here Market, artisanal products, chef crafted products.
Do you have to be a chef?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Because I hear that very often.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah. But they started off with originally chef crafted products.
Very cool.
I think. So if you were to look up Nam Prik Pao, I am the first one, or maybe it's because it's my browser, but I've tried to check from other browsers, like a private one. There's not that many Nam Prik Paos to begin with. Even though it's a traditional condiment, I am the first one in the ad sponsored search, which goes so far.
It does. Wow.
You know, like you find me, and like I don't know whether I myself would have had that money to do that, but for them to create this infrastructure for emerging brands and budding brands, I think is just like,
out of all the middlemen, they're good people.
So it's like
that's the one.
They will work with you if you're willing to put in the work with them. Because sometimes people are just kind of like, oh, here, sell it for me. It's like, it's not always like that. Like you still have to sell your own product too, but I just direct people to them. And then for them, free shipping over $65. Like I only really offer one product, a mild version and a fish sauce free version. So like me shipping you either have to order 3 to justify the shipping. But if you go on there, I could direct you to Amy's product, my friend tasting India's wonderful chili crisp, and all these other spices that you could find on the site and other snacks like geem and stuff like that. So it's just a wonderful place to order online. But with the consignment cost split, they don't have a storefront. So it's just like a different experience.
Okay.
But with other stores, I wholesale the case.
Very
but
cool.
It takes investment from the store because one case of the sauce is expensive. Who's to say like you buy the case for wholesale that the whole case is gonna move?
And that's interesting because I wonder how many people actually do Instagram stories on, let's say, Lao Ma.
Yeah.
Versus knowing the face behind Nam Prik Pao and be like, oh, I found this at Agora.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing with Lao Ma is like, it's such
it's a staple, right? I know.
It's like that and sriracha. Like there is a tipping point where you just become the staple.
Yeah.
So it's like somewhere between like, oh, do I trust them yet? To you're just the one for that category. You're the market. You're the niche leader.
I think people know enough about who you are as a person and the work that you do even if they haven't tried your stuff for the first time, meaning that the willingness to try your product for the first time is there because you've done such a good job at documenting the process.
Yeah, that's what I would like to hope that people see. I think it works really well in Chicago, but like, let's say, Fresh Market takes me to like
Kansas. I don't even know if there's a Fresh Time in Kansas. I'm just saying.
I am in Kansas. Oh, yeah. I'm at Yoli Tortilleria, fantastic Mexican bakery, James Beard winning place. Is also just lovely because Mexican food uses tamarind, and I think that was like really special that we could like meet in that way.
Oh, very cool.
I met her through Cherry Bomb. So if anyone's ever in Kansas City, but I think it's actually Kansas City, Missouri, KCMO. But yeah, it's also the reach, making sure that people understand it. We're going through some updated branding so that the product can really function without me physically selling it every time. So there's going to be a picture of me on the back of the jar, which I have been against for the longest time. But now I was like, I found a ridiculous enough photo that
was your hair done?
Yeah, no, my hair was done. It was like a great hair day. But it's just a silly photo from when I was in college. And I want to go haunt all my grandchildren with this photo, like pass this brand on to them.
It reminds me of Shiley Oil.
Yeah. Like I'm going to go haunt all just like this legacy brand in 60 years. But yeah, I want I realize the importance now. I knew it before, but really now after like functioning in this space for the last 2 years of understanding like there's a face that makes this, that there's a story with this. Before I was like, this is a great Thai product. You don't need to see my face. You don't need to know. But then now I'm realizing the way people are spending money these days. It's like they are buying into a story and they are buying into a feeling in a community. So,
Are you on the shelves of let's say 88 Marketplace or H Mart?
I am not in H Mart, but hopefully 88 Marketplace soon.
Yeah,
They are, whether they know it or not, we're coming for you. Like literally,
I love this energy.
Yeah, like we're coming. No, I just love these. Like I went into Gangnam Market, so hopefully we'll be in there soon.
Very cool.
Just seeing these new shops pop up. Like I love Gangnam Market. Like I think it's from the guy that did Strings.
I don't know. I haven't been myself. It's on my radar though. I gotta step in.
I just think of everything about it. It's in a place that needed a grocery store.
Yeah.
And it's not specifically an Asian neighborhood. So I was like walking around and I see people were just buying their groceries.
Yeah.
And not like, we're not a novelty. Asian food is not a novelty anymore. They're just buying their groceries amongst all these different Asian foods, and just the genuine curiosity and respect towards all these different products and the multiculturalness. I just thought it was really special.
L&M?
I am in L&M.
Hell yeah.
They're so lovely. Hopefully I'll be on one of their sandwiches soon too.
I first heard about them through Pickled Prince.
Oh yeah. They're lovely.
What about Andale?
Mia's the best.
Yeah.
Mia's the best. She's a force.
I love it.
I was a little scared of her the first time. I was like, I was like, here, try it, please. And she's like, okay. And I was like, shit. Now we're so cool. I was like,
have you sometimes the trajectory for this is going to be those festivals like Renegade. Have you done any of those?
I've done Renegade.
You've done Renegade? Okay.
That's a tough one because I'm still a chef. So it's like, should I show up with food? And so sometimes I've applied and the festivals have turned back and said like, can you do food instead? And so I've done food. So it's like, either or. Like I love both.
Yeah.
Really just depends. Like sometimes I do food. So for one season, I kept doing these Thai curry Crunchwrap Supremes.
Oh, what?
They're so ridiculous, so over the. I remember assembling one, and I was like, "This is absurd." And so I did like 200 of them, and I was just like folding them. I was like, so much sour cream, and then it was like, but it was fun because it was like Thai green curry beef in a tortilla, and then like the customer would order it, and I had like 3 panini presses going. I was like, what do you want? I was like, never thought I would get to this point in my life. And then I just had all the sauces on the end, and so it was a great way for the customers to interact with the sauce and have Thai food in a handheld pocket.
So it worked out, yeah.
And I was just waiting for someone to be like, is this authentic?
Oh, God.
There's sour cream in this. It is not. It's so far from it.
Because it's like, what is the vessel that holds this sauce, right? Is it rice? Is it a cracker? Like, what is it? Is it a chippy? But no, it's a burrito. It's a fucking,
Yeah,
cheese.
so but people were really into it. It was really nice to just see the cheese melt over the curry. It was just something way different than what I typically would do. But it was just fun. So the markets are really fun. It's a great way to just meet people. I've been asked to do random things because I met them face to face in a market. And I met a photographer. I meet a lot of people, but there's one photographer in particular, and he was just so sweet. And I think we still stay in touch. I think it's Jeremy Yappy. I think you might know him. Oh, well, he's very sweet. But the markets are just really great to be on the ground and meet people and just connect with the community, because otherwise it's very separated.
I know that the team behind Remember, wants to maintain their feet on the ground at these farmers markets and things like that, because they enjoy the face-to-face.
Yeah.
But as they continue to scale across the country, it becomes more difficult.
That's the difference between early stage growth and mid stage growth. Like, how do you keep that same touch on everything that feels?
Does it lose its luster? Like it's like that what drew you in the first place as a consumer, as a brand continues to expand?
I definitely don't think it loses its luster. It's another problem to solve.
Okay.
And if you could do it well, then I don't know. You do it well.
Exactly.
I was like, I don't know where I was going with that one. If you could do it well, you do it well.
You probably won't even know how you did it well, but you do it well.
Yeah, like I will always be involved with the product just because I love the product. So that's not going to change. Now I just have more team powering this. And so my involvement just grows with it. You know, our campaigns are getting bigger, you know, get a even more beautiful spread, and you know, I'm doing the Of a Kind show, and I think that has a lot of people. And I think I will do, I know I'm doing this a little bit backwards, but I think I'm finally going to do a farmer's market this coming year. Most people do it the first year, but the first year I was like, I'm just trying to make the sauce. I'm not trying to give up my Saturday just yet.
Do you have a neighborhood in mind?
Ideally Logan Square, because that's where I live close to.
Cool.
But we'll see. Even I popped up at Side Practice.
Okay.
And I did a breakfast sandwich, and I put Nam Prik Pao on it and sold Nam Prik Pao. And it was just like great to meet everyone. And I think those people are out there like rebuying and just continuing to enjoy the sauce. So it really it's just nice to be able to have that human element, even if it's here or even if
keeps
it's
you grounded.
there. Yeah. And then also with the pop-ups, I can reach a little bit more people. So like last year around Halloween, I did a chicken and waffles pop-up, and I did a Nam Prik Pao honey. Oh. And so we were able to serve quite a few people, and it was at 9 Bar.
Oh, dope.
And it was just lovely. Like, I think I'll always do that. Like, again, like, I want to build a life that like I really enjoy. So maybe right now running a restaurant isn't the life I'm going to enjoy right now.
Like, you appreciate the variety right now?
I love the variety. Like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I can build it. I want to have this.
You can take more risk when there's not as much overhead.
Exactly. It's like, I'm very nimble. Like, I can have this 7-course dinner because I can have it. Or I can do this pop-up that's so goofy with Crunchwrap Supremes because I can do it. And so, like, I hope that part of me never changes. Yeah. And I hope the customer base sees just how much I enjoy it. And whether I'm in 50 stores, whether I'm in 10 stores or 50 stores or 200 stores, like, I don't think that's ever going to change, you know, like. No. So.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
Because you've experienced, like, a wide variety, a wide range of highs and lows, and you still continue.
And I still do it. And I was just like, it's just part of me. I can't imagine what else I would do. I think it comes down to that. Yeah. You know, like, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm working way too much.
What does your husband do?
He's a software developer.
Okay.
A little different.
So he hustles in his own way.
He hustles in his own way. Yeah. So much different. But yeah, the work-life balance is the big thing. Yep. Especially now. I have no idea where I was going with that. Work-life balance.
Like, do you feel like you have enough time with each other? Like to check in?
That was the big reason why I wouldn't do farmers markets these past 2 years, because he works a very like 7 to 6. Like, he gets up and he's on calls. Okay. And then he's off on weekends. So like he rarely has to work on the weekend, which is so lovely. He just might have to get up a little bit earlier each day. So for me, I try to preserve that as much as possible. And so if I have a pop-up, I try to either schedule it on a weekday or only 1 or 2 weekends a month. And even 2 weekends a month, I'm like, sure. And, you know, it's like, otherwise I won't see him. Yeah. But then now that our team's expanding and I can tolerate that, then I have them be extensions of me. But yeah, it's I always want to maintain that. Yeah.
Do you draw inspiration from a lot of the other Asian Americans that have popped up, like Mira recently?
Rishi? Yeah. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Khmer Fine Dining.
I have not been there yet, but I've heard their food's outstanding.
Or Hermosa.
I love Ethan. Yeah. Ethan was actually the first restaurant that put me on their menu.
Oh, wow. He did the same for Professor Pizza.
Oh, my gosh.
Another pandemic success story.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. So did you, like, as a condiment to the sandwich, or, like, what did you do? Or did your own thing?
I think it was
like
on his... No, he put it, I think, on the dinner menu on the steak, maybe.
Very cool.
And it was just so special. And then one time he was short a server. And I was like, I'm not really good front of house. But he reached out. He's like, I think he reached out on Instagram just like, hey, I need a server tonight. And I was like...
That's so cool.
So I went and it's like such a beautiful setting. I was like, just don't break anything. Just don't break anything. It's fine. But he let me have a bite of everything that went out. Just like, oh my gosh, what he is doing is so stellar and so special. And to know his story, and I think it was...
I loved that documentary.
Yeah, just after his mom passed, and like just what he's cultivating, and for him to somehow include me, even though I didn't ask, but that generosity. And it's
a two-way street. You showed up for him too.
Yeah, like how meaningful that was. Like it really goes a long way. And I'll always remember like, but now I think my best friend now, like I was like, I think this might be a job for my best friend. No, she's really good. And she's a touring musician. So like he knows in advance when he needs her. So it's like really fun.
Very cool.
So whenever I talk to my best friend, I'm like, how was it?
Yeah. Well, as far as like seeing these other Asian Americans like thrive in their respective niches, just like that, do you still have that one, that, you know, light at the end of the tunnel of like maybe like definitely one day, it's not an if, it's a when, of like your own cute. Yeah. It could be a cafe, you know, but you know, your own brick and mortar.
Oh yeah. To see all of these businesses thrive. Like seeing Lilac Tiger, seeing Mira, seeing Thatu, seeing Mitakaya. Mitakaya is obviously not Asian.
Haven't heard of that one.
It's Mexican.
Okay.
But just to see these businesses celebrate their heritage in their own way without, you know, like clamoring to say like, we're authentic, we are authentic this. It's just like their interpretation and their vision and their passion behind it. Yeah. And to see people really lean in and enjoy it. Like even like Kasama. Yeah. You know, sadly.
I know Chef Stephen Gillanders like wrote a post about getting the pushback from not being authentic.
Yeah. Like if you read some of the Kasama reviews also. Yeah. I'm not much of a crier. I think I might have cried over that dinner. Wow. It was just so special. Like it's Filipino food. I've never seen it in that way. I've had my friends' families cooking. But it's hard. I don't want to say heartbreaking because they're just like the strongest people I know. But just some of the reviews within the Filipino community.
From their own. I know.
And I was like, whoa, like why are some of their people out there like hammering down on each other about what's authentic? And I was like, did you go have a good time? Was the food good? Are the people serving your food happy? Was it good quality ingredients? Like
what more?
What more? Yeah. What more do you want? So, you know, like seeing some of those reels of like, oh, we had this. And I was like, these are some of the best pastries in the country. And they're celebrating ingredients like ube, but
that's still not enough.
Still not enough. I'm like, this is insane. Like what is good enough then, you know? And like, why are you using this random term that you're throwing around? And Kasama never uses the word authentic. So like, why are you placing this expectation on them? So I love what they're doing. I love what this like wave and this generation of restaurants are doing. And even like,
I recently had Buy & Co.
Oh my God.
Designer. Lawrence is coming on soon. Yeah.
I need to go over there soon. I was actually telling some of my teams like we should have our holiday dinner there. Yes. So, but just like even outside of, you know, my brother lives in New York.
Okay.
And he's actually like an architect for a lot of his clients right now are restaurants.
Cool.
So it's like really cool to see his this modern Korean food scene just grow. And I was like, and then you see this like modernized, or this, I don't even want to say modern, but like this generation of Filipino food grow. And it's like, so when is that going to happen for Thai food to this extent. Right. But a Thai restaurant did win the James Beard Award for Pacific Northwest. I think it's called Lang Ban. So it's just it's coming.
I saw Perilla made the list for Infatuation.
Yeah, and seeing Perilla's brand new steakhouse, incredible.
Haven't been yet.
So good. So oh my gosh.
Fun enough, I met those two guys at Hermosa during
really?
the family meal. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Thomas and Andy. Yeah.
They're so lovely. Their cocktail menu is just lovely. The service, everything, every single touch to that space and everything that they're doing, I think is just really.
And that was another thing. It's like that like, oh, I can get Korean barbecue, anywhere else for much less, and it's just like they're doing something slightly different.
They're doing something different. Yeah. They're doing something that's opening our eyes. Also downtown. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a time and a place of like, I can do this for cheaper. Like, sure, go do it then.
Right.
Go do it.
Right.
So whenever people say that about Thai food, I'm like, yeah, go eat at home. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, like I want to support all the farmers that have supported me. Like, don't you too?
Yeah, which reminds me of, I still haven't been to Feld, but they are, I think they've pivoted ever since like the initial negative reviews, and they've
happened?
I think they're shining so bright.
Really?
Right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I don't know much about
it's
them.
Just first couple weeks. That's opening a restaurant.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about them, but I know my friend did the plates for
nice.
them.
Yeah. Well, I botched her episode, Danielle's episode.
How?
Because
you forgot to turn on the mic.
Funny. I pulled out that external storage device.
Oh no!
Without ejecting, and it became corrupt.
Oh no!
And it's never happened when I did that before. I didn't know there was an even option to eject from this device, because there's no option to eject from this device.
Oh, okay.
So I did it. I go home. I can't. It doesn't open. Right.
Oh my gosh!
And I put it on other devices. Still doesn't open. I'm like, and I shipped it to a recovery place. It was going to be $3,300.
Oh no!
And that was devastating. And I go back to Danielle, and I'm like, Danielle, I have two options. Either because I have backup audio from these cameras. It's not going to sound as crispy as this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we could do that, or we can give it some time and re-record. We went with option 2. So
is she coming back, or did you already do it?
No, she's coming back. It's been maybe I think a month.
Okay.
And so you hesitate to redo because you might not recapture some of that since like first time reaction to certain things. Yeah. But with enough time, I think we can recapture that. So
yeah. And also it could have its own story.
I loved hearing, I loved meeting Danielle, and I was delighted to see, as I doom scrolled down your page, a couple of her pictures.
Oh yeah, I love Danielle.
There.
When I first found out that I got the restaurant, and I still was like kind of blogging, I Googled Thai ceramicists out of the blue. I was like, I just want to meet other Thai creators, how to like get people to perceive the food in a really special way. Granted, I didn't need to bring in my own plates for the food hall, but I just like really wanted to like style my food on a Thai maker's plates. Googled it, literally was having...
and if someone didn't care as much as you did, they wouldn't have gone down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so I find her on Instagram and realize she's having a shop sale like that day, and I just booked it over to her studio, and then we became friends ever since. You can ask her about the story where I just like showed up and we're just like,
I love that,
cackling, and both of our at the time boyfriends we're just like, what just happened? The stranger just like walked in, and then we've just been friends ever since.
Love
so
that.
like she invited me to do a dinner on her plates
because she likes cooking too.
Oh my gosh, she's such a phenomenal cook. Like it's ridiculous. I mean, her parents are
right.
Her mom's pastry and her dad has a really fantastic restaurant up in upstate New York that I really want to go visit. Maybe this coming year. I got invited to do a dinner in the Catskills. I'm like, I should just make this be an upstate New York thing. Oh, that's a bummer, but I'm excited. I mean, things happen for a reason. You know,
there's like we are works in progress.
Yeah,
and I appreciate the grace that Danielle, and I'm sure whoever else this happened to. It's like I appreciate the grace that they show.
Yeah.
But what are you manifesting, or what can we expect from you as we close out 2024 or even 2025?
What am I manifesting?
Yeah.
Do you have like options?
What needs to happen in order for your launch with Fresh Time to be ideal?
Oh my gosh, why am I struggling with this answer? I mean, in the most literal sense, is just entering into a co-manufacturer smoothly.
Okay.
Which means I will expand the product line finally and offer like marinades and glazes. So that's kind of like, I guess that's what I'm manifesting is a full-on lineup. Like I want to be just a really special, trustworthy. By trustworthy, it's like, you know the name, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Thai marinade, sauces, glazes lineup. Like that's your go-to. I know this is going to be good. I know I'm going to have a great time using this. Like I want to be that, having Nam Prik Pao was just always, for me, I knew the first step in all of this whole journey. Like I want Thai flavors and everything to just be so accessible, because I think a lot of people don't realize how easy Thai food could be,
and how much more elevated your palate can be once you've tried some of this stuff.
Exactly. And I know Thai food can be really daunting.
Sure.
Because you're like, oh, I got to go buy these like 20 ingredients and I got to go do this. And I don't even know how. And Thai food's a lot about like spicy, salty, sweet, tangy, umami balance. And it's like if you're heavy handed with one, it's going to throw off the other. And so it's like hard to teach someone how to make Thai food and be like, 1 tablespoon of this, because we all know Asian food isn't like that. It's this, this, and this, and this, and you hope for the best. So it's like teaching someone feel. But back to the manifesting is, in a literal sense, smoothly entering a co-manufacturer, which we all know is not smooth.
Are there options? Like you have to weigh different co-manufacturers?
Yeah. So I'm interviewing co-manufacturers.
Wow. And you've probably asked around, and you're equipped with certain questions.
Yeah, and just like certain contracts, and just making sure Trader Joe's doesn't roll in and steal my recipe, or like that someone doesn't say like white label this and like sell it to Kraft Foods.
Is this are these resources through your accelerator or through the consultant? Okay.
Exactly. Okay. So I had the consultant for the HACCP plan.
Gotcha.
And she was like, "Oh, hey, I worked with this very clean facility. You should go to them." And I was like, "I trust your judgment." And I went. And they let me do a tour, and everything was clean and like, up to speed. It's like, you want to meet all the regulations for all the stores that you're going to enter.
Yeah.
And then the accelerator program was like, make sure you ask these questions when you enter a co-manufacturer. Make sure you consider this. And here's a lawyer of like, what should go on your label and like things like that. It's like just so many tidbits of knowledge that you just have to piece together for yourself, because everyone's product and service is just so different.
Yeah.
So they try to do a broad program for the people in our group.
Sure.
So it's just been really, really useful. And just these last 2 months, it's just been like absorbing just as much as I can to take that all in. And then right now I just need to
just head down and
like just do it. Just be like, all right, I'm gonna front to make 6,000 jars in one go. But right now I'm producing every Wednesday and Friday.
Okay.
And so once I move away from that, then I focus on just getting it in the stores and less about self-producing. It's like there's just a big shift that's coming ahead.
Very cool.
But I'm just very excited for it, and I don't know. I'm just very excited for it. I'm very nervous. I'm very nervous, but I'm just going to push through it. And I know what I'm doing is exactly what I want to do.
I tell our students this too, but this Mamba mentality that Kobe Bryant had, this unshakable confidence, comes from understanding that he did everything he could have done.
Yeah.
So at this very moment in time, there's nothing left to do.
Yeah.
But to just do.
Yeah. Like I might have already said this earlier in the podcast, but like, again, I think my husband reads like the best books, but he was like, you choose what you suffer for.
Yeah.
Like I can choose to suffer by like not deciding on the co-manufacturer and just like beating myself up. Like, who am I going to go with? But it's like, or the other side of me is like, just make a decision.
Yeah.
And it might not be...
And you might have to pivot.
You might have to pivot, but if I make a decision with honesty with myself and then to my best knowledge, that's all I can do. And if it doesn't work out, then I pivot, but just make the decision. And that's the choice of suffering that I make. It's like, I'm willing to pivot if it didn't work out, but no matter what, you're suffering regardless. So why not suffer towards
something you chose,
towards the goal, towards something you choose, and something that was like a little bit more in your control. So I think that's my big 2025 goal. It's going to be a big year ahead, but I also never thought I would get this far. You know, it started selling $2 in a souffle cup. Just dropping it in your bag, like trick-or-treating, like, would you like one? Like, here you go. To now where, you know, there's just so many smiling faces making the sauce and believing in the product. And
and you said the initial sauce used to be a lot spicier.
Yeah, it was like triple the heat.
There's like Reddit threads about finding the spiciest Thai restaurant in Chicago. And the name escapes me, but it's probably like a hole in the wall.
It's probably tuk-tuk.
Well, to the point where it's just uncomfortable, where it's like no longer flavor and it's just burn. And just
but
pain.
You feel so alive. You're like, my soul, it's here. You know, like that's the thing. I have a very high tolerance, and I forget. And then sometimes I forget when I'm cooking for a client, and I'm just like, oh, sorry. Or like I did a private dinner and there was like 20 women enjoying the meal, and they're all so polite and so sweet, just sniffling. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I just like don't know. I just like, and we're also in the Midwest, so the expectation's like a little bit different. But then also when I'm in the East Coast and someone's like, you know, this could be spicier. And I was like,
there's always going to be one of those.
And I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's finding balance. And then hopefully with the expansion of the offering, I'll do a black label that's like, this is the OG stuff. Like,
oh, dope. Okay.
Don't touch your eyes.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
After this. So yeah, that's one day. But right now I only have the mental capacity to juggle.
As you should. Otherwise you're spread too thin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Quality first. My brother always says, you know, just offer what you know is good and then expand later. You know, he was trying to tell me, it's like, for your first restaurant, if you only offered 2 dishes, that's fine too. And I was like, okay. And then I offered 4, which still wasn't that many. But yeah, that's the focus.
That's amazing.
But growing, putting away the nerves and like just I'm like, I can do this. I have survived everything.
Taking action usually puts away the nerves too.
Right? Yeah. I've just been like sitting. I know the co-manufacturer, and I'm just like sitting on the NDA. I'm like,
okay.
It's literally my draft folder.
Sure. Wow.
So it's there.
Where can people find you, Palita?
You can find me at Andale Market, Agora, online at Here Market, Milk 177 Street, L&M.
Fresh time soon.
Go in and tell everyone at 88 Marketplace to carry me, because that's the best way to do it. It's just like, if you want to see it carried somewhere,
that's a good point.
Tell the buyer. It makes it 10 times easier for us to enter, because these buyers, they're approached by so many wonderful brands. Yeah. But they listen to customers.
Just funny, because on that last episode, you said you were approached by Agora.
They approached me. I was so nervous.
Yeah. Wow.
Because I shopped there, so I didn't want to turn shopping there into work. So, and then also I was like so early on where I was still like going to all the stores and counting. I'm like, 8 jars today. I'd come back on the Thursday, like 5 jars today, and so it's like, I really didn't want Agora to be that place for me, because I would like go in after the gym, and it was like, it's my happy place. It's like, see my friends' brands and buy it. And then when he like followed me out as I was like paying for my groceries, he's like, are you the one that makes the sauce? He's like, my social media manager mentioned it, and I had it. It was very good. And I was so nervous. And then now I'm like not counting.
Wow.
And I've gotten to the point where I don't count the jars. But I straighten them out still. So you might see me in the aisle just like literally turning labels. Yeah. Everyone knows that drill.
Attention to detail.
out there flipping the labels forward. And then also my friends like crackers. I'm just like, here you go. And I like text my friend Morgan. I was like, hey, you only have 4 more bags. And I bought 3 of them. Unbothered sourdough crackers, by the way. So good. And yeah, so they approached me. That was very, very special. And they continue to be one of my biggest accounts.
Oh,
the
amazing.
most supportive. I think I'm in like 3 different points of the store. But yeah, you can also go to pinksaltkitchens.com/stockist and see exactly where we are in 40 stores across the country.
Amazing.
Which is insane.
Where can people find you online?
You can find me at hi.Palita, Palita. And that's my fun personal page of pop-up announcements and food styling and everything else and fun recipes. And then also, if that is too much for your feed, you can just keep it to Pink Salt Kitchens and you'll just see all the promotions and deals and our pop-ups. I guess also pop-ups on there.
Yeah.
Pop-ups are announced on both. But some people just want to know, these are the dates, that's it. Follow Pink Salt Kitchens. But if you want to see inside my day-to-day life and
absolutely.
And the growth and the smiling faces behind Pink Salt, that is actually, sorry, I'm the worst. Follow both. Follow both. It's every brand owner will say it's difficult to divide the individual persona and the brand. And I try. So there's, whatever. Follow both.
I know. I'm sure we don't have to get into it today, but like you're, this not tightly associating your identity with your work.
Trying.
Yeah.
Being Asian, it's groomed to be a doctor, let's say. So it's like, you can't measure your worth and your success. You just gotta be.
Yeah.
Otherwise work will come and go. And especially everyone knows in this climate that work comes and goes. But I love what I do. And I try to, when I close my laptop, that's it. Sorry. I don't respond to emails on weekends. Unless you put urgent in the subject line. And then I have a moment of panic. But yeah, just trying to separate. I think we live in a society that, my pet peeve is I go to a party and the first question is, what do you do?
What's a better question?
What do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't know the motivations of why someone takes a job. Does that job help feed their family and put food on the table and it's stable?
Right.
Or does someone have the financial means to be flexible and do something really risky? It's like, we don't know. But if they choose to share that with us, great. If they don't, maybe you like mowing your lawn on the weekends because you love the smell of grass. I know that was a very weird tangent. But I think you can learn a lot about someone by what they choose to spend their free time doing.
Oh, 100%. And it's like, I wonder if people can have that mental shift as using that as the initial question.
Yeah. I think it also makes us feel more human.
Yeah.
Like we're not just workers in a giant system. But
I remember you writing or saying that like these, networking and, events are important. Not all of them are great, but they're, try to go to as many as you can.
Yeah.
There's a phase for them.
There's a phase. Right now I'm attending a lot, especially through the accelerator programs. So it's so wonderful to meet other women in my shoes.
Maybe is there an appropriate an ideal size to a networking event or an ideal curation?
I think there is an ideal curation.
Yeah.
I think having an activity.
Okay.
I know it sounds so silly.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just shove people into a room, whether there's 20 people or like I went to one that was huge. That was like huge for its space. It was like over 100 people. I was like, this is a lot. But if there's engaging conversation, I think that goes such a long way. Because like we can connect over our work, but it doesn't have to be so cut and dry.
Yeah.
Because we're all complicated. It also just depends on who you invite and what are the motivations of everyone attending.
Yeah, I think it just feels a little cringy when trying to manifest opportunity at this point in time, shouldn't be the primary goal. It's more so meeting like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
And finding if there's a level of trust or rapport there.
Exactly. Like, I don't want to just be another name on your Rolodex. Like,
right,
like she's just another resource for when I know I need her.
Right.
I'm sorry,
right.
It goes both ways, but I just have to like you as a person.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. like you said earlier, you can't teach curiosity.
Yeah.
When building a team, 100%.
Yeah. It's like sometimes I've meet people and they're like, well, can you do this for me? I'm like,
maybe.
I'm a pretty generous person, but I just like don't know you. Like, I just don't know you. Like, I'm down to do whatever, but like,
yeah.
Hi, my name is would have been great. Like, hi. Like,
yeah, I agree.
So there's no perfect networking event. Some will always be better than others. There's no perfect formula, but again, just curious people, inviting the right crowd, people that are patient also. Like, not every friendship or relationship has to be transactional. And I think that's a really tough one for people. Like, I met you last night and you're already asking me for a favor on Friday. And it's like, I'm down. I will bend over backwards for my friends, and my friends know that. But if I don't know you, it's like, it just sounds like you're just trying to climb. And I'm like, to where? To be alone? To be alone? Like, where are you climbing to? Like, we're all just down here, like, hanging out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I think sometimes people forget patience. Like,
Okay.
we need some patience.
Yeah.
Like, you can't force everything.
Yeah. Palita, it was truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You have a lifelong fan and consumer.
Oh, you're so sweet.
And we're so excited for what's to come. Continue hustling, continue putting yourself out there. I appreciate the aesthetic feed as well as the insightful and deep captions that you end up writing.
Oh, thanks.
Do it all. You're doing it all, and we're proud. As everything. So, from a business person, from an Asian American, like, so many perspectives. I hope you feel seen. And everyone else, this was 2 hours. So thanks for tuning in. Give Palita a follow on both her accounts, and we'll see you in the next time.
Thank you so much.